Hello again, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Into the Underhive Necromunda campaign series based on the rules of Wrath and Glory made by Ulysses Games. Now, this is going to be episode 2, and that's right, no longer a one-shot. We are going to be doing a campaign. First up, I'm going to throw you guys the introduction video, which I gave to the players a couple of days before the session, just to sort of whet the appetite a little bit. Then we'll be doing a little bit of a recap, so if you can't remember the story from last time, we're going to recap on that before we get cracking, and then we're going to get right on into the session. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Alright boys, we've had our little bit of fun. Let's move into the back room. We've got a little bit of work to do, alright? Frankie steps up and moves his chair to one side. He reaches within his jacket pocket and pulls out a small key of about 2 inches long made of rusted metal. He walks over to the back room and you notice not one, not two, but 3 padlocks against this metal door, as well as a bolt and a series of chains tying all of these together in some primitive network of security. One by one, the locks are picked. The chains left draped on the floor, and Frankie slides the door open slowly. Well, don't just sit there, boys. I want you to meet my new friend. Stepping inside, you can see a light, barely functional. Just a small amount of embers still appear from it, just intermittently lighting the room with small flickers. In the middle of the room you notice a large table that would normally be out the front, turned onto its side. Instead of 8 to 10 people sat at it, one person tied to it. In an almost crucified position, leather belts and bindings are strapping this man, as well as a series of rags and cloths tied and stuffed into his mouth. You notice both of his eyes are black, blue and bloodied. There's a series of apparent puncture wounds across his body and one large gash right across his left pec. This is my new friend Boris. You see, I've been busy while you've been out. I heard the shooters going off in the tunnels. Decided to go for a little walk. I saw Boris here running out. Decided to give him a little boop on the snoot. Didn't I, Boris? I guess he's passed out. Anyway, Boris told me about the current situation. Told me a bunch of his boys had just got shot up. Good, I thought. It's probably my boys at work. Anyway, I convinced some Muppets to radio back to Cleavers, tell him anyone coming over would just be after a little bit of a drink. Everything was going to be sound, there wouldn't be any problems. Seems it worked. I bet the look on Cleaver's face when you fucking threw a grenade must have been priceless. Now, that's the end of the good news. We have a little bit of a predicament. You see, Cleaver's was from Sector 12, and Cleaver's has 2 brothers from Sector 12. Well, they're not only from Sector 12, but they fucking own it. So, in a couple of days when word gets round there, we're expecting a little bit of kickback from them. By kickback, I mean fucking troubles. So, we got a couple of options. We can either flame this on Boris, pin it on him and hope that we can divert the thwack onto him, or we have ourselves a little bit of a scrap. Let's sit down at the table, lads, discuss our options. Beginning of last session, the group woke up the sole survivors of a gas attack inside a bar. They went off searching in league with the bar owner to find the culprits that did this. They saved a few people at the snake pit, the bar just above, and didn't have any luck there though. Went to the gun store and found out the only person that bought such toxins was in the Cleavers bar up north. So they went up north to go and take him out. Got shot at by some people on the way. Killed most of those people bar one who ran away, and then went off to the bar to behead the guy that was basically the guilty party. They've returned back home with the body. Having arrived home, they have found out via Frankie, who caught the guy that was running away straight away, brought him back to the bar. But Frankie's interrogated him for you, and now you found out that the guy you've just gone up to shoot in the bar, he's a brother of the Krasinski twins from Daggerum. These guys run the mafia there. They are the top dogs. So once
Russian
word...
mafia, basically.
Exactly. They are Russian drug lord mafia. So once word gets out, shit's gonna go down. So you're currently not in the scene. So at the moment we have We have Tom Dawson and the others sat around a table in the back room, just getting ready to discuss the plans. So, to begin with then, we'll jump into the voice of Fwanky. So, Fwanky's going to turn around to say to Tom, Tommy boy, looks like your leg's having a little bit of trouble. I'll tell you what, I've got a friend over next door, I'll get her over to sort you out. How are you feeling, Tommy?
Fucking hurry!
All right. So, Frankie's going to turn to exit the building. Just be a moment, guys. Give me 5 minutes. He's going to take a couple of minutes and return with another individual. And at this point, I'll let you introduce your character, Celinda, as to what everyone can see.
Sister Celinda is small and very lean, but she looks very sullen and very like she doesn't want to exactly personalize, but she knows what she's doing. And she's a person of authority in these kinds of situations. She has a large weapon that she keeps on her back, but it seems as if she has a couple small ones that she keeps at her side. She looks around the situation and sees Tom on the floor injured and goes to him and asks the severity of his pain. Tom. Can Tom not speak? Is he in that much pain?
Hurry up, woman!
Well, what? So it looks like your leg is broken? Is that right? What am I looking at here?
It's fucking shot!
With that attitude, you should stay shot. Let me see what I can do for you.
All right, to patch him up, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you to roll a Medicae test. I've already included the +2 in there, so that's, I believe, 8 dice. And while this is going on, Fwanky is going to be walking out just saying, I'll just be a few moments, boys and lady. Apologies.
I did not mean to roll that.
Beautiful. You not only repair him, but he feels fantastic for the old man that he is.
Grumpy ass is what he is.
Gave this old kicker a tune-up.
Now, as Tom's pulling himself to, Frankie is going to enter the bar with another compatriot. So now there's quite a few of you sat around the table. There is the 3 currently sat around one table in the corner. The 2 of you currently doing your medical diligences towards sort of one of the corners of the room. And Frankie will be entering once more. Gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Dickie Bow. He's a good pal of mine and he might be able to help us out here. And with that, Dickie Bow, would you mind introducing what the players can see of your character?
So, as you view Dickie Bow for the first time, or maybe not the first time, you can see that he has a craggy tan complexion, which is almost a mix of an Edward James Olmos meets Danny Trejo. His outfit is a faded yellow flat coat that is covered in various stains, along with a faded yellow-brimmed hat. And underneath the flat coat, you can see a red floral pattern administratum robe, but it's been shortened to right under the belt, so you can see that he's wearing blue slacks as well.
So, at this point, we'll gather everyone around the tables. Frankie's going to pull up one of the largest tables he can and put all the seats around. There's going to be 7 or 8 of you sat around here, and all right, boys. So some of you might not have been filled in on the current situation. We've got a dead fucking guy from Daggerum over here, fucking floating around in the wither sticks. We got his best buddy here tied up, being tortured. He's currently passed out, but more importantly, the dead body belongs to 2 of the brothers that won Daggerum. And if you don't mind me saying, I think we're in for some fucking trouble. So, the question is, what are we going to do about this predicament? And with that, he'll open his hands and await your views as to what you think we should do.
Pay him off.
Kaczynski brothers? Did I hear that right?
Never mind, that might not work.
Indeed, we'd need something to pay them off with. All we can offer at the moment is food.
They're going to want to avenge. They're not going to want money. They're going to want your head.
I'm inclined to believe the lady here. I think she's more than likely to be white. So, how exactly are we going to weather this storm?
in my opinion, you guys have, well, if you are inclined to use my services, we have one option, and that is take them out before they take us out. Now, if you don't want to do something that extreme, the group is going to have to put their heads together.
So it has to be our heads? Can't be someone else's heads? And Dickie Bow takes a glance around the bodies in the bar.
What are you thinking, Dickie?
Just saying maybe you didn't realize who you were getting involved with when you wanted to retaliate, and maybe you have a change of heart, and you offer a facsimile of the killers?
Were there any witnesses to what happened here that lived?
Thankfully, no. The only witness is currently tied up over there on the table.
Not true.
There
ran into scavengers on the way. Their boss walked away from us. We didn't get a chance to kill him.
This is IMPERIUM, Muppet, and points over to the table with the guy chained up. I blagged him for you before he could make it anywhere. And he points over to Boris, which was the right-hand man of the individual, the scavenger that got away. So thankfully that end has been neatly tied. But Frankie will chip in here. There was one small problem, however, that you guys did drag a dead body back from Cleaver's bar, wearing the, let's say, the attire, because he was missing a head, but wearing the attire of Cleaver. So word may spread. Of course, rumours may have already started, and it may be inevitable that eventually those twats over in Daggerham are going to hear about a body being dragged and wondering why they haven't heard from their brother in some time. So if we don't have a problem today, we're going to have a problem sooner or later.
Go over his head. Would it be efficient for me to heal him, and then we figure out what he knows?
By all means, you can certainly have a try. Indeed, yeah, you could certainly make a Medicaid test and see if you can patch him up. I'm afraid with that...
Redirect the beast.
Okay, what are you thinking? Blame it on someone else? And while that's happening, I'm afraid you were able to stir some life out of him and stabilize him, but he's not quite gained consciousness. The difficulty rating was a 5, so he's alive, though. He'll come round soonish.
Number on him. If we have another dead body on our hands, all it does is add to our problem here.
Indeed. Tommy, you were saying we pin this on someone else. What are you thinking?
Well, the question then becomes is who is most easily blamed? Who's a viable target?
The problem is Cleaver's lived here, and regardless of who killed him, we do live amongst a faction-based system. So if he dies while he's here, it's going to be hard to pin it on someone who is not here.
Scavengers were here.
Indeed. But they are on
Blame it on Hatch End.
I'm not too familiar with this area. I have not been here long, but...
oh my god.
A gang like this... I shouldn't have healed you. I should have let you fucking die. Who would rival them in any shape, way, or form? Who would have something against these people?
At the moment, everyone. However, they are the big dogs of the area, and no one at the moment has the balls to actually take them on. So we may be able to find some friends elsewhere. However, it's going to be difficult to convince them to take on the big boys. Now, at this point, Frankie's going to place his hands down on the table and say, take turns looking each one of you in the eye. So, sounds like we may be able to, as you have suggested, send an envoy of sorts. If we can find someone that maybe they trust, maybe we can convince them to go over, tell our side of the story, whatever story that may be. However, as Cylindra has pointed out, we may need to make preparations in the meantime, should this all go to shit. Would that sound reasonable?
Sounds reasonable enough to me.
Even if they don't believe it gives us time to prepare.
And I'd rather not send you guys, because in all likelihood, whoever tells them that their brother's dead is probably going to get a bottle right round the ear straight away anyway. So I'd rather you guys weren't the actual messenger, let's say. So, and he's going to scratch his chin just for a moment. There's a small amount of facial hair on there, the signs of someone that's probably not shaved in a couple of days or so. All right then. Find someone that knows Cleavers. Find someone that knows the brothers who they may have some rapport with. See if you can convince them to go over there, tell a side of the story that paints us as being perhaps the heroes or the good guys in this situation. Maybe even, as you say, we can pin it on the scavengers. Failing that, what I'll be doing is sending the other three here, and he's going to point over to Jazzy, Doc Cognis, and the third individual, and I'll be sending these guys over to try and muster a little bit of support should we need to fight these fiends off. My suggestion would be you head over to one of the other bars, maybe try the snake pit, find out who knows them, find out who's connected with them, find someone they'll trust.
No. You still need to decide on who did it, who are we blaming, exactly who are we blaming, how they did it, how we know they did it, how we know that they know that they know that we know that they did it.
Very thorough. All right. The suggestion was to blame it on the scavengers. They have been spotted round here recently. Does that seem something that you would side with, Dickie Bow?
But why would the scavengers do it?
We can pin the initial gas attacks on the scavengers. Because we don't know if Daggerum knows already or not. If Cleavers was expanding using gas attacks.
All right. Scavengers attacked our town. They went to war with us. We don't exactly know why. We know it was some of their operatives. That's what we're going to say. We're also going to say that they took out Cleavers.
Yes.
Because they were afraid of Cleaver's strength and background.
Exactly.
Bingo.
And Boris over here was their leader. He decided he would take upon this initiative and, I'll keep him tied up here for a little while longer. But I think it's believable. I think they may follow this. And we were simply the victim of an attack from another area. That way we might be able to divert the attention.
Fair enough. So all that's left is finding someone to communicate with Daggerum for us.
Indeed. I'd start over at the nearby bars. Find someone that's friendly with them. Find someone that knows them. Someone they'll trust. I'd head over to the Snake Pit, which is one of the more lively bars of the area. They might know someone.
Still a shithole.
It's all shithole down here. And with that, Frankie's going to stand up.
Everyone floats.
Walk over to the corner of the room with the other three. Start muttering to them. And he'll just turn back to you before he sits down and say, let us know when you find something. Let us know when you got this sorted, all right?
I'd say the first step is leaving this place.
So we're looking for intel, correct? That we're doing. We're looking for someone who can go speak to Daggerum on our behalf.
Yes.
That's our plan. Metagaming here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That is the metagame plan, absolutely.
All right. I like that. All right. Let's do it.
Well then, Tom, Celinda, I will happily acquiesce all leadership decisions to either of you.
Well, I know that we helped up the barkeep before the snake pit.
Did you?
And he kind of owes us.
So
Maybe he knows someone who knows someone.
Sounds like a good idea. I can also check through my own information if you let me head back home first.
How long will that take?
No less than 10 minutes.
So what we can perhaps do here is to jump straight to a scholastic test for Dickie Bow, just to see what information he's able to establish while he's rummaging through his notes of the area. So if you could go ahead and roll me a scholastic test with your magnificent 8 dice. Okay, So you're pretty knowledgeable on this, actually. So once you go home and start rummaging through your papers, Johann Cleaver, the runner, the gentleman who frequented the establishment, rarely made it out of his nearby area. He rarely came into town. So if he is going to be personally friendly with someone, it's likely to be one of the buildings adjacent to him, and you'll be familiar with that being the Shag Shack. So are we at this point at a split, so the two of you are within the snake pit?
No, we waited on him.
Okay, you've waited. Okay, so presumably then you return. I'll allow you to voice what you found out.
Absolutely. So as Dickie returns, so I've found a little bit of information. Johann rarely left his area of expertise, we'll say, probably out of fear, petty criminal thug. So if he did know anybody that was on good terms with Daggerum, they would most likely be located around where the Shag Shack is.
So what first? Shag Shack or Snake Pit?
Perhaps Snake Pit to ask about the Shag Shack, and also maybe tell him to go speak with Frankie. They could work together.
Okay, so you're moving over to the snake pit. The journey doesn't take long. It's less than 100 meters. A simple walk across the dimly lit streets. The area started to populate itself a little bit now. The usual sort of dregs are sleeping in the corners and the shadows. The odd bit of chitter chatter and the signs of life are returning to the hive. Now a few hours have passed since the gas attack, although it's still perhaps a little quieter than usual. The snake pit itself, as you guys will enter, you'll notice a few of the bodies have been piled up towards one corner. This was the victim of the gas attacks as well. But behind the bar now, you can see a gentleman starting to reorganize and polish glasses and, let's say, tidy up the place a little bit.
I call out as I walk towards the bar.
The gentleman turns around and, recognizing you, you're boys! It was you that saved me. Nice to see you again. What can I get you? Can I get you a drink? Who's your friends?
Yeah, I'll take a drink. I'll let them talk to you.
Nice. Fellas, it's been a fucking rough day. Anyway, what can I get you to drink? And he points to all three of you simultaneously.
To remain on my feet, a water will be just fine.
He raises his eyebrows slightly. Hey, I can sort you out. And you there? And he points over to you, Dickie Bow. What can I get you, gentlemen?
Doff my hat momentarily, and Richard Beaumonk Magholm at your service. The most expensive swill you serve.
Hey, if you're a friend of Tommy, you can have whatever the fuck you like. So, and he'll start preparing these drinks as he talks. What brings you over here, Tommy? By the way, thanks for sorting us out. You saved my mate over there. He's still not talking proper, but he's on the fucking mend.
Good, I'm glad. We're just working on a plan here to try and smooth things over what happened.
Right. Did you find the fuckers that did this?
Well, that's where we could use some assistance.
Aye, well, I'll sort you out. If you need help, I'll sort you out. If you need guns, I can sort you out.
We're looking for boys who have connection to Daggerum.
Daggerum, eh? Fuck that place. Bunch of fucking cunts.
I know.
Aye, let me think. Is it... Your Cleaver boys were from Daggerum, weren't they?
Yeah, that's a bit of the problem. You see, scavengers, they killed Cleaver.
Shite.
And, they were behind the gas attacks, apparently.
Fucking wankers. Why would they do that?
We don't know either, but with Cleaver dead, that means his brothers, they're going to be angry.
Too fucking right.
We're trying to make sure that we don't get killed in the crossfires, and that they're aware of who truly committed these heinous acts.
Right. So
I want to see Enfield burned.
You're after a messenger then. You need someone to skedaddle over there.
Yeah, someone trustworthy that they'd listen to.
Right. Well,
they would trust.
As they were a bunch of fucking pricks, I tended not to let them in here. You may find the... to be honest, I think they only fucking drank and ate in the Shag Shack. They didn't come down here too often as they weren't welcome.
I don't like that place.
Aye, but it's the only place to get a shag round here.
Why I like it.
Makes me itchy.
And he's going to pass over the drinks at this point, and you can see that he's gone to some lengths to polish these glasses a little bit more than usual. And he offers you a little smile as he passes them over.
Dickie gratefully accepts his, smiling at the sight of the polished glass, and then takes a sip. That's good. Surprising.
Aye, it's the very best I've got. Anyway, anything else I can help you with?
Nah, man, thank you so much. I'll finish my glass.
Right, if you need anything, I'll be here. I can sort you out, remember. And he winks at you.
What do you got?
I think I'm fine.
What is it you got back there?
Bah, I'm a sociable guy, I run a bar. I know people, you know. If you need guns, I'll sort you out. If you need, I don't know. If you need some friends, I'll sort you out. If you need drink, sort you out with that. That's about it, really. And he goes back to polishing his glasses.
Look between the other two maskins.
Do you need anything?
Sister?
No, I don't think that I need anything as of right now. No, I'm well equipped. I don't drink, so I apologize if I...
And off we go! Tom stands up and leaves.
Almost regret healing him.
Yeah. Dickie tries to choke down the rest of his drink and ends up coughing on his way out.
So,
I don't drink coffee.
You'll hear the mad cackling of Dawson as he realizes that you choked on your drink from outside.
now, as you guys where are you headed? Sorry. What are you up to?
Shag Shack.
Right, so this is a journey that was made before by Tom, and it's through a series of completely sealed off about 3 or 4 meter wide tunnels. They're dimly lit. There's the occasional light that's still flickering on and off. And what sort of pace are you travelling through these tunnels?
Slow, cautious.
Okay, and who's
I have to agree with the old man.
And who's travelling in what order? Are you side by side, one in front of the other? What's the marching order?
In the rear. Let me keep an eye on your backs.
So as walking through the tunnels, you eventually arrive to the point where the previous firefight took place. You'll see that the bodies are still here on the floor, still relatively fresh. This was probably only less than an hour ago that these 5 or 6, it's difficult to tell, as some of the bodies are within the shadows. Scavengers were slain by the other crew of 3 plus Tommy. So at the moment you are just passing their corpses as such. They appear to be undisturbed.
Fucking scavengers attacking everyone.
Was this their work?
Yeah, this was us.
As a point of clarification, outside of character, these are the scavengers that were killed by the group the previous session.
Oh.
As I feel I may not have been as clear as I could have been. So these guys were felled previously by Tom and his compatriots. They attempt to ambush the group within these tunnels, and they are no more.
My mistake. I thought we were at the Shag Shack already.
Not quite yet.
Okay.
You're halfway there.
So, should we use these corpses and drag them back on our way, or they're scavengers, known scavengers?
It does seem to add to our story if these bodies were actually scavenged.
Maybe.
It's not like we're sending these guys a pig feed, okay?
Yeah, but we could throw these bodies into the Shag Shack.
But the Shag Shack already had bodies in it.
But not scavenger bodies. Not the bodies of the ones that attacked them.
You want to throw them into the Shag Shack, or you want to throw them in the cleavers? How far are we from the
Fine.
cleavers?
100 meters. Not too far.
Close.
Take you a few minutes to drag the bodies to either.
I say Miss Power Armor over here just grabs 2 of them, drags them.
So we put...
Your old man, feeble body couldn't handle it. Of course I can take 2 bodies.
Strength of 1, baby.
All right, so I unfortunately agree. We need to move these bodies. So I pick up 2 of them easily, shoulder,
Indeed.
and say, grab what you can and let's
So
move.
we're bringing the cleavers, so I hurry along over towards Cleaver's.
Okay, so the weight of the bodies for someone in power armor is nothing really. You can take one in each hand as if you're just carrying a small briefcase or a small bag of convenient goods. It's really, you could throw them if you wish to. Dicky-Bo, you're going to have to use two hands to drag one along by either the arms or feet, whatever you feels more convenient, and you'll be struggling to keep up.
Oh, absolutely. Scribe's wall.
So you're headed over
as
to...
we walk,
After you.
As we walk, Tom's going to be cracking his knuckles as a point of reference, let you know that his hands are free.
Okay. So you guys heading over to the Shag Shack and Cleaver's bar, correct?
Cleaver's first with the scavenger corpses.
Right. So as you can approach Cleaver's bar, you're currently within a fairly dimly lit access tunnel, and you can see an opening appearing before you containing 3 buildings. And the first of which, the closest to you, is the Cleaver's bar. It's currently at sort of a 90-degree angle to you. You can hear some faint noises coming from within it. It sounds more like things are being thrown and moved around. There's no signs of vocal goings on just yet. Just let's call it rustling of bottles, cans, things of that nature. But fairly audible, actually, even though you're a little distance away.
Tom at the front raises his hand to signal everyone to stop.
I stop and drop the body.
I turn to motion you all to put the bodies down and to ready your weapons.
Okay.
And I step through the door.
Front door is this?
Sure.
Sure. So entering the front door, you can see the bar over in the far right-hand corner, which was previously treated to a frag grenade by the group you were with here only an hour ago. You can see that dented and bits of sort of wood and metal laying across the floor. The tables kicked over, the chairs largely kicked over. A few dead bodies over to your left of the 5 gangers who were also slain only moments ago. The rustling and noises appear to be coming from the back room, which is sort of just through the bar, let's say, and the other side. There is a door between you and it is currently closed, but you can now faintly hear some mutterings and murmurings, but it's apparent that the door is fairly thick, so it's difficult to make out.
All right, I turn and soundlessly I motion to the hospitaller to take point.
I ready and aim. I enter the back room and I take out one of my more silent weapons. I had it at the ready.
Okay, this would be a melee weapon, would it, or?
Melee.
Okay. As you enter the room, you can see 4 individuals stood in front of you in 2 pairs facing each other, and they're wearing, let's say, tattered drags and rags, dirtied-looking people, typical of just Underhive dwellers and scum, ordinary civilians you would see. It appears that they are fighting over, and you can see them holding various bottles, crates, boxes. You can see things have started to be organised within this storeroom of sorts, and these individuals seem to either be helping each other or fighting with each other. It's quite hard to tell, but right now you've caught them completely off by guard, and they're just staring at you, all 4 of them, eyes wide open in a let's say half frightened, half surprised expression. What do you do?
I say to her, "The back door is broken."
See the commoners looking at me. One single swipe for me could kill them, so I say, if you do not want any trouble, it is in your best interest to leave. If you choose not to leave, you will die on this floor.
We're not letting them leave, dear.
At this point, one of them is going to raise both hands, palms showing to you, and say, "Look, we're just here to scavenge. We just need some food and drink. We're just here. We heard the shots. We found the bodies. We just want some food."
Empty your pockets.
Let's have a...
Pops his head in through the door. Couldn't we just make use of them, considering they haven't seen all the bodies, and then they could also spread word around about what happened?
Yeah, Tom. Let's be kind to these starving individuals.
The hands turn from open palms to in a sort of a worshipping position, and they raise them up and say, "Please, please, we just want food and water, and well, it's everyone is dead. Then they don't need it."
Empty your pockets. You heard the man.
Okay, so the four of them. Let's have an intimidation test from you, or persuasion. I'll let you choose, depending on your tone.
Out of character.
They pretty much, yep, they'll do whatever you want. They straight away, like they start, like one guy's even half like pulled down his trousers by accident, trying to just get everything out as quickly as he can, and starts jumping around, shaking his clothes, and you can see bottles, perhaps some scraps of metal falling out, a couple of knives, nothing of any significance or worth. One of them does, an auto pistol falls out, and a couple of magazines from his belt as he places all on the floor, and at this point they're all starting to stand there with their hands slightly raised, palms facing towards you, a whitish look to their complexion.
Throw the weapon and your magazines over to me. Slowly. Kick them across the floor.
Yes, whatever you say. And one of them is going to just motion the auto pistol slowly towards you with a couple of kicks, being not very well coordinated. It makes it a good way of the room across you. You're currently, I'd say, about 9 feet away from them, and the magazines soon follow with another kick.
I look at Tom and say, Tom, what say you? We give them the food that they need for their bellies and their families, and then they go. What say you? Tom, have you lost your tongue? And blood on our hands with this plan of ours here.
Gentlemen, before you leave with your food, I would just like to remind you that you didn't see all the corpses yet. There were actually some scavenger corpses scattered about, and I feel that you should just make sure everybody's aware that scavengers are becoming very hostile lately, especially to people in Enfield.
Did they do this?
Seems so.
Wow. And with that, he starts scampering, and all of them start to pick things up. Still cautious of Celinda. She's rather imposing, putting things back into their pockets and backing towards the rear end of the room where there is a door slightly ajar, a back access door as such. And they still looking at you, making eye contact, slowly back out. You can hear the footsteps of running as they make their way out.
I turn to the boys and say, well, gentlemen, we wanted the rumor to get out. The scavengers are murderous little thieves here now. I think that might have helped us along.
Probably not.
Vicky smiles in satisfaction. Rampant xenophobia.
It's beautiful.
Anyway, what weapons did they find? What did they toss us?
Just a pistol, it looked like.
One auto pistol.
A pistol?
It appears to be old, rusted. One would presume this might have belonged to one of the gangers within the bar. It has a magazine within it. It's loaded and appears to be functional, but it's in the usual shitty condition of an Underhive weapon. Nothing unremarkable about it aside from being an auto pistol.
Any of us have points in tech?
You could make a tech use test to just see if there's anything, just to confirm that it works, make sure it's not jammed and functions correctly. It does. You're able to clear the chamber, look down the barrel. It appears to be correctly aligned and a functioning device, although not in pristine condition. It will shoot relatively straight and would appear not to be. It would appear to be functional.
So you hold on to that cylinder.
You could probably make use of it for scraps, and I tuck it into one of my pockets, and
Lovely. So we should drag those scavenger corpses in, yes? To the front?
Yes.
I pick up 2, sling them over my shoulder, and pick up 1 in each hand, and fling them on.
I shall peruse the selection as I walk towards the bar.
Did Cleaver have an office?
Just the 2 rooms, just the main bar and the back room.
Okay. Could Vicky make an investigation awareness type look around, see if he can get any information found, papers, data slates, safe combinations?
Okay. If you run me an investigation check to have a look through the building.
Okay.
A 6 is enough to find a couple things of curiosity. You find a few receipts tucked down behind the bar. These appear to be handwritten exchanges of an unknown good with the Shag Shack. These are stored in a small rusted iron tin of sorts. There is a very small safe underneath the bar, underneath the counter as such, which appears, despite the frag grenade, to only be mangled and dented. It is currently locked, however, and there's no sign of a code.
Code is in, it's an electronic lock or a physical lock?
It's a physical lock.
Okay.
A good old-fashioned dial, which is sort of in one piece. It was at a 90-degree angle to the blast, so the side of the container is pretty heavily dented from the shrapnel of the frag grenade, which blew up close to it. But it, being of pretty sturdy quality, this thing is about 2 feet tall, 2 feet wide, and one would presume, given the sturdiness of it, pretty thick.
Okay. So Tiki pops up from behind the bar. Celinda, if I can't crack this safe, do you think perhaps you could tear it open?
I think I could give it a shot. Do we know what this safe is kind of made of? Is it
Metal.
the adversity to heat?
It'll be one of the more robust sort of metals, most likely iron. It's sort of fairly readily available. Chances
Flaming
are,
it to shit won't work.
I was thinking more powered strength, but
Power armor, grab the front, rip it off, that kind of thing.
But first, I could try my hand at cracking it, possibly. Which, out of character, that would be cunning roll.
I'd put it down as a tech, as you would probably be listening for the small ticks. You could certainly have someone else assist you if you were.
So if you're listening for the tick, so it's going to be a tech test or an awareness test?
It's a good question, actually. That's a very good question. I would.
It's an awareness.
I would allow you to do a 2-man action. So I would ask perhaps you to do an awareness test, listening for the ticks, and perhaps we would get someone to do a very basic technical test just to turn it left and right, which would be very easy.
Okay, I could do out of character. Do you want maybe who has higher points in?
I think you're even across the tech.
Pretty much even.
We're about even, right? So
Okay, so I could do I just in character. I don't want to destroy what is possibly in here with my brute strength. So out of character, I could do a tech test.
fair enough.
So let's have both of those.
All right.
Okay, so you're able to click the dials, and although fumbling a little bit, the sister doesn't perhaps get the exact dials you want. It takes a few extra minutes, another 5 minutes, but you are able to eventually hear a clink as the door shifts open. Are you going to open it?
Dicky is going to stand up and give Celinda 2 big thumbs up before he steps far away from it.
As Uncle Tom cackles in the background with a beer.
Celinda looks at Dickie and just shakes her head, whispers, "You coward," confidently, and opens the door.
So within, you can notice a small carton, probably measuring about 8 inches long, 2 inches thick. It has some, let's say, hand-drawn or etched insignia that's probably been done crudely with a knife, and it appears to be that of a sort of a cleaver shape. There's no other namings or markings on this tin, and underneath you notice a couple vials or syringes, which, if you make me a Medicae test, you'll be able to tell me if you're familiar with what they are. You're slightly bemused by one of them, but you recognise one of the others as being a common stimulant of sorts. So you have in your possession now a couple of common stimulants, which would loosely translate to being adrenaline of sorts. And that just leaves the small tin. And what would you like to do?
So Celindus picks up the stimulants and the gentleman and says this could be helpful to you guys who don't have the advantage of power armor, and I tuck them into my pocket for safekeeping. I also pick up the vial that I recognize and stick it in a separate pocket as to not mix them up. And then I pick up the tin and look at it curiously. Dickie, what use could we even make of this?
Perhaps a sandwich?
As you're looking at it closely, there is a small rattling inside it. It is a closed, sort of flat, rectangular tin. Again, about 8 inches long, 2 inches thick. It's currently closed. The lid is on, and as you lift it up, you can hear some small sort of noises of objects within.
And there's no lock on it. There's no.
No, it's just an ordinary, say, like a biscuit tin or something of that sort.
Takes it over to the bar counter and sets it, and says to the boys, "I suggest you step back," and I move to open it.
He doesn't need to be asked twice.
Okay, so
Yep. Tom, if you moved, I need you to move back away from the alcohol bottles.
Yeah.
as you open the tin,
Take your drinks and move.
as you open the tin, you're greeted by a fantastic smell. One that might not be familiar to you, but an aroma that is can only be described as soothing. And as you open the tin completely, you can notice an array, an assortment of cigars, of fairly high quality looking things. These would be the sort of thing that's a very valuable commodity within the Underhive. There is 5 of them.
Step back, old man. I might not drink, but don't mistake and say I don't enjoy a good cigar.
Dickie holds up both of his hands, palm outward.
Is there a way, out of character, is there a way to check these for poison before we partake?
You could do a Medicae test.
Oh my god.
For sure. You could do it
Poison.
just to be sure.
And I look at Tom, who's shaking his head, and say, we need to check. This was in a safe with medicines that even you didn't recognize. Better be safe than sorry.
You are confident enough that there is no toxins in these, but you are aware that if you have enough of them, eventually you'll get cancer. They
And I
are
pass
just
them out.
ordinary cigars, as far as you can tell. But I say ordinary, but exceptional-looking cigars. Once again, something rarely spotted within the Underhive and a valuable commodity. This is likely a prized possession of the individual.
Dickie takes a whiff of the cigar he's handed, but then offers it back to Celenda. No, thank
Poker,
you.
Dickie.
Can't run if I can't breathe.
Dickie?
I figure.
This would be something you would be familiar with upon seeing this. You know that these would be used for bartering quite typically. In terms of out of character for a second, this tin would be equated to +2 wealth for whoever holds them.
How many do we have in this? And I take a look and I count them. How many cigars do we have all together?
There are 5. In total, the tin would be +2 wealth for the one
Would
character
like
that
to
wields them.
smoke it? This might be useful in our travels.
Well, if Tom could restrain himself, we could also use these probably as a form of currency with certain people.
You ask this old kook to restrain himself. I might have to take it out of his hands myself.
I'm alive, goddammit, because I know the power of... No, I'm good. Hold on to him.
Let's see
Okay.
if you can put the drink down, too. I doubt.
Is the cleaver familiar at all?
It is the sort of the family insignia of Cleaver. It is his branding as such. The cleaver is also dotted around the bar in several places, sort of etched into the wall, sprayed onto another wall, etched into a couple of the tables.
That looks like it would be important to show up in scavenger territory. I kind of point towards that cleaver symbol with my chin.
You point at with your chin.
Yes, sir.
Legit.
It's the man.
Do either of you disagree?
I throw the bottle that I'm holding against the wall and start towards the door.
Follow suit.
Shrug, grab the cleaver symbol and follow. Okay.
Okay, so what are you guys up to?
Next
Heading over to the
up would
Shag
be
Shack.
The Shag Shack.
Okay. So as you approach the building, you can hear a faint hum of what one would perhaps consider music, some small clangings and let's call it like a stomp-esque drum and bass of clanging metals, but very faint in the background as you approach. You can see the front door is open, and there are murmurings of a man inside.
Dickie muses to himself. Giant spoons?
Like trash can lids, and
Mm.
perhaps bashing the lids with spoons. So how are you guys proceeding?
Patiently waiting for the other two to enter before me.
In through the front.
Okay.
Follow behind you, and again, watch your back.
So as you enter the Shag Shack, you have a slightly better lit room than average. Blue is definitely the theme of this place. A couple of neon lights, not only on the front of the building, but also lighting up the back room, the central room. There is a large counter in front of you with a gentleman stood the other side. He's currently facing the other way, humming to himself, and you can vaguely hear a shug, 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 shug. And you can see him sort of swaying his hips a little bit side to side. His currently seems to be sort of humming so loud he's completely oblivious as to your presence. And it's hard to tell what he's up to exactly.
Sorry, I'm kind of meta here, but so it's just this guy in the room singing?
Just this
dancing?
guy singing and dancing. There's a few rooms off to the side, a little corridor that perhaps has a couple of cubicles. But you're currently just one central room. There doesn't seem to be any other noise
Is he armed?
emanating. Do me an awareness test.
I don't got it.
Okay. Well, he's actually topless, but in terms of the trousers and lower half, you can't see anything sort of bulging or sticking out. Nothing out of the ordinary.
And I get his attention.
What do you say to him?
Hey, it seems someone attacked Cleaver's next door.
As soon as you start speaking, he turns around and looks frightened. Whoa! What? What? Struggles to catch his breath for a moment as you caught him off guard. Puts his hands up in the air for a couple of seconds and says, hello, esteemed friends. Would you like a shug? And he winks at all of you simultaneously and leans an elbow down onto the bar to try and appear to look a little bit more suave.
Dickie's left eye kind of gets that nervous tick to it. He takes a step back.
He acknowledges this.
And shrewdly.
He acknowledges this and looks at you and smiles a little bit. Hey, you look like you need a shag, my friends. Come on, would like to join in.
No. Perhaps you didn't hear the Tom there. No shags. Cleaver's bar has been attacked by scavengers.
I heard this. I heard this noise and I hid in my room, to my shame.
Oh, you hid in your room?
Yes. I was, how you say, having a shag.
Okay,
And
Austin Powers.
Points to one of the...
How do you say?
Points to one of the sort of cubicles on the side.
Yes. Cleaver's was attacked and by scavengers. Remember, scavengers.
You don't say this. I did not like Cleavers anyway. He was a dick.
And also, you know who Cleaver's brothers were, correct?
I might have come from Daggerum some years ago. I may know them.
So, we're slightly concerned that the brothers there would blame all of Enfield for what the scavengers clearly did.
This is true. If they find out, they will probably murder us all.
Right.
Maybe a good time to open a new shop.
More shagging, I assume.
Persuasion.
Indeed. More of the shags. He points at you and winks. I like you.
No shags.
I'm gonna attempt to persuade him that someone needs to go and let Daggerin know not to know who the real threat was.
The
real
A good
criminal.
plan. One cannot disagree with this plan. However, the person who does this is maybe not going to be too popular with them. I think you would have to pay them very well. And he's going to smile, and you notice a small goatee and a moustache, almost sort of handlebar-esque, and he starts twiddling it to one side.
Who is this person?
Consider wealth.
Wealth? At the moment, all of your characters have one wealth.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
Dickie was asking the receptionist what he considers wealth. Considering he requested payment.
A good question, my friend. Wealth to me is not about the money. It is about, and he points with his arms around him, the shack. I would like a bigger place. And he points over towards Cleavers at this point and walks up towards the window, opens one of the, peers through a little peep in the blind and say, I have always dreamed of moving to a bigger place. And points over towards Cleavers and say, I would like that to be my new shack.
It's vacant.
Yeah, it seems pretty vacant to me.
I mean, there's some corpses you need to
Everyone is
deal with.
dead.
He, at this moment in time, points through the shutters. It does not appear to be entirely vacant. And with that, he is now pointing to the outside of Cleavers. As you turn around, you can now see a group outside. 5 to 8 individuals. It's hard to tell. Some of them still skulking within shadows, but you can see a group approaching the building.
Oh.
I sneak closer to the window to see if I can get a better look at who is actually out there.
You make me an awareness test? That's enough to tell some information. You can tell that they are civilian attire, and fairly similar looking to the group before. And the person leading, just stepping into the building as you peep, is one of the very individuals from earlier who ran away. This is one of the 4 looters from within the Cleavers bar who you sent scurrying. It appears to be them plus a larger group, and perhaps even as they're starting to appear out of the shadows, somewhere in the region of 8 individuals now.
Into the group and say, okay, well, I did say that I gave them a chance. They either leave quietly or they die on the floor.
Whoa, hold
Intend
on.
to hold them.
Celinda. Hold on now. They might be planning to move in because they assumed we were finished. All we would need to do is just convince them that it would be in their best interest not to move in.
What I did earlier was not convincing enough. Then what do we need to do?
We simply explained to them that the Kaczynski brothers would most likely butcher them to death for moving in on Cleaver's property before they get revenge, or possibly they might be considered the ones who perpetrated it just by being there. Scavengers being blamed or not. So we convince them to leave. We ensure that our new friend here gets the premises. Everybody's happy. Nobody dies.
Talk to the shack. I turn to the
nobody
shack.
dies.
You know who they are?
I have no fucking idea. I only know people who come in here. I forget them very quickly, but they are ruining my place. And he points at this point as there's now some sounds of crashes and bangs. And at this point, the owner of the Shack's starting to look a little bit frantic and moving up and down on his toes a little bit.
Okay.
So
then.
speaking to Shagman, all right, my very shaggy friend, do you have any qualms with how we may or may not take care of this situation, as long as you get what is yours?
There is only one thing that matters to me. That is the shag.
There you have it. In fact, more corpses might help him.
Look, you foxy. All right, so who is coming over with me to with our fellow citizens over at Cleavers?
Have they all entered the building?
They're sort of largely inside, one or two, just the last couple of them still entering the building as we speak. Let's say 2/3 of the group have already entered at this point.
Should we attempt to speak with them first, or do you plan on dispensing the Emperor's wrath? Complete imbeciles.
Shame on me. Fool me twice. Well, they're dead. They do not listen a second time, they die.
Oh, very well. You scare me more than they do.
How are you proceeding?
I'll start to move over to start talking to them.
Yeah, Dickie follows after them outside the shack.
Okay. So...
Me just yet.
Are you walking over with your presence meant to be seen?
Me, I'm just walking.
Okay.
And to sneak up to... I do not want them to see me just yet.
Okay. As you exit the shack, these places are probably, let's say, 15 meters apart, 20 meters. As you exit the shack, instantly a couple of them on the outside make a noise, and you can hear murmurs and musterings, and a couple of them instantly come outside. One of them you will recognize as one of the ones from earlier. However, they're no longer looking particularly frightened. There is now perhaps an air of confidence or cockiness to them as they start exiting the bar and lining up again.
I told you.
Dickie gives them a weak grin and a wave.
In response, you notice a few of them putting their hands towards their hips, jackets appearing to be readying. It's hard to tell exactly what, but let's just say they're adopting some unwelcoming postures. You do not receive a wave in return. And the leader at this point actually points over and to the others and looks towards them and points towards you, with the rest appearing to be readying themselves of sorts.
All right, I'm going to do either persuasion or intimidation with supreme presence.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and shout them down.
Okay, what are you going to say?
Are you doing persuasion or intimidation?
Something along the lines of like, in the Emperor's name, you agreed to disperse. Now leave.
We can do that as we'll do that as a persuasion.
They're both the same score.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Can I assist him with a persuasion roll?
Yeah, you certainly can. You certainly can.
Shouting out after he says it, you should do what the man says. He's crazy like that.
You can certainly do that. You can certainly do that. You fumble your words and sort of perhaps get something a little bit of cotton tongue. After your words, Tom, you can notice one of them out of the 8 on the corner quickly turns around and runs. A second one appears to look a little bit hesitant and moves away again. There are still 6 stood there, though. The ones at the back have moved away and to the side. The remaining 6 do not seem to be particularly put off by your words. And at this point, you will notice they start to reach for their weapons.
I see that they are not going to listen, and I step out from the shadows with their pistol drawn. And I move to intimidate.
Okay.
Way to lose our fucking tactical advantage. But okay.
So you're running out toward them, are you?
I just stand
imposing
with Tom and Dickie to show that my presence is there as well. I'm not running towards them. Shut up, Tom.
Okay. You can roll an intimidation at this point.
Oh my God, I can't click things today.
Right. At this point, no response. Not even a flinch. And you can see them slowly draw their weapons and a round of bullets come your way. So there's going to be a small flurry of bullets heading in the way of Tom, who was the person who initially spoke to them. Okay, so we have a hit. A flurry of fairly primitive sounding shots come your way. This would definitely be associated with being autogun fire. And 8 damage comes your way, Tom. So that is even. So in that case, all that happens when the damage meets resilience, all that happens is you take 1d3 shock. So we do 1d3, which just represents you being fatigued by this. So you're going to just take 2 shock for your character. You have a fair bit of it. So this... Yeah. Basically, as they take some shots towards you, you can see them pulling their weapons. It's quite well telegraphed. You move to the side, and you're able to avoid the flurry of blows. It's now you guys to act. You will be in range to move and then flame them. You will not be able to get into melee combat this round, as they are about 20 meters away.
Before she can act, I'm going to go ahead and throw a rock and scream grenade.
You can throw me a deception test.
Old fucking cooter.
That does indeed. So upon doing this, the group will take several feet backwards and scamper towards cover. None of them running away. They'll just start moving back as you do so. You can see them in the process of beginning to move. However, they've already had their turn, so they won't be moving just this moment. So, Sister Celinda, any thoughts on what you'd like to do?
I'd like to take them all out at once, so I'm thinking I should ready my flame weapon.
Okay. You'll be in range if you sprint towards them. If you make a run forwards and then attempt to shoot, you'd certainly be able to get a few of them.
Yep.
Let's roll. So, running forwards, you manage to hit them. Absolutely. And with that, there's no need to even test for damage. 3 of them instantly, the 3 standing closest together, burst into flames, and you can hear screams coming out as the bodies start running in different directions. At this point, the remaining 3, again, already slightly shaken from the apparent grenade that was just thrown at them, which made a weird clanking noise. They're now readying to run just that little bit faster. Dicky Bow?
Is the leader still alive?
Yes. Yes. The man that pointed towards you is still there standing his ground.
I would like to draw my last pistol and take a shot at him.
Nice. Are you be aiming with that shot? You'll get a bonus dice to hit.
I was hoping to empty my clip, but I can't remember what that was actually called.
You can actually do both of these things. So you can do you can do an aimed action, and you can do a salvo attack. So you basically take aim at him and sort of stand your ground as such, readying your weapon and stabilizing it before unloading a flurry of shots out of your pistol.
That sounds amazing. So I make a ballistic shot with
+2 dice.
+2 dice, so I make an 8.
Any spare 6s over the desired target, you can shift into extra damage. So because he was so accurate in lining up his shot, the extra shift has been moved into extra damage, and you can see this hit him, I'd say upper right shoulder, and you can definitely notice this is a las weapon, if I'm correct, yeah?
Correct.
Okay, you can notice sort of some orange sparks seem to fly off of him. He falls to the floor at this point, but is still moving. He appears to be shaken, heavily wounded, but he is still conscious and starts crawling towards the side of the street. Now, it will be the group to act. There's not too many of them left after 3 of them set on fire and burned. And the gentleman crawling towards, I'm going to use basically a special GM resource, so this gentleman will go first. He's now prone. He's going to try and clamber up, and he is going to move and dive behind some trash cans and cover into sort of not a dark alleyway, but a dark corner of the current sort of hangar as such. So he is now, you've lost sight of him, but you can see very clearly the trash cans as such that he's jumped behind. It's now one of you guys to go, and then it will be the mob to act.
Drag him out and see if there's any more coming.
So you're going to sprint towards him, yeah? Okay, so
I'm going to, yes.
If you're covering this amount of ground, what you'll be able to do is to basically cover all of the ground. You won't be able to make an attack, but you can make a sprinting action to get over there and dive behind the cover with him. So at the moment, your turn has basically been sprinting towards those cans, narrowing down that sort of 15-meter gap, getting to the point where you're able to actually make it into contact with him, but it'll have to be next turn that you drag him back. So it's Dicky Bow and Tom to go. It's the mobs go now, actually. So
Yes.
a flurry of bullets are going to now move towards... the mob will move away, scampering into the shadows of the room, though. You get the impression these individuals are still here, and a couple of small, relatively pathetic popping noises occur from these shadows, and they aim in your general direction, Celinda, but they go wildly to the sides. You get the impression that not a single one of these shots was even in your remote vicinity. Now we have Tom and Dicky Bow to go.
So just so we're both aware, there's the two guys that just took cover and shot, and then there's the guy behind the trash can.
Yes. Yeah. This will be on the far reaches of your range at the moment for the two gentlemen that have sort of gone to hide, and take fire at you. So they'll be about the sort of the 20 to 24 meter mark.
Is that too far away to throw something?
For a man of your bicep size, indeed.
Strike.
Yeah, you could throw something a good 6 meters. They are using auto pistols, and yes, they are still within your range.
Okay. I will just take a shot at the closer of the two that wanted to cover. No, this is just going to be a single aim shot.
Okay, so just 1 extra dice for your ballistic skill test. Nice. And even though they're within the darkness, you do hit. You're not able to move any extra dice through because the difficulty of the shot has increased somewhat, but you do still find your mark. And with that, you hear a small scream and an instant thud to the ground.
Wilhelm.
Make that noise again. A wet.
And
you don't even need me to roll damage.
No, they're not against these guys. They're classified as a mob, so they fall down dead. It's only non-mobs that you'll calculate damage against. So Tom, it's you left to go.
There's one guy left, and then trash can guy.
Indeed.
I'm gonna start walking towards trash can guy.
Okay, just casually strolling.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So you can sort of cover half the distance this turn, get halfway there, and with that, a new round will be starting, and you guys will be able to go first. So, who's going to be going first?
I'll go first, and I'm going to try and pop the last remaining guy that's in cover with an aimed shot.
Okay, let's have one more ballistic skill test. And you not only hit him, but you're pretty confident from the noise that it's a headshot. You don't even hear a scream. You just fire a shot into the distance. You can see the faint glow travel off into the distance, and you just hear a as one would presume a body has fallen to the floor, limp.
Dicky looks down at his last pistol and murmurs, "Still got it."
Now, it is technically the trash can man's go behind the trash can with you, Selena, and at this point he's going to attempt to grapple with you. He's going to attempt to wrestle you off of him. So I'd like you to do a strength test for me, just a strength test. So you are going to be rolling just your strength value now. So the gentleman rolls a 1. So he attempts to try and grab you, and with the size and shape of your armor, he struggles to find anything to hold on to. Let's see what you manage to achieve, though. Instead of him jumping onto you and sort of putting his hands around your neck, you sort of shrug him to one side and get him in a chokehold quite easily, with him completely restrained at this point.
Bad for a person of my height stature. Ha ha ha. And I plan on dragging him out into the open easily.
Okay. Given the first attempt to try and grapple with you, he's going to offer less resistance now. Open palmed, he's going to start conversing with you. Please, no harm. Don't need to kill me. You can let me go.
Give you that chance before, so. Now, see, I gave you and your team that chance before, and it looks like you squandered it because your life is worth shit. So I drag him out into the open, and gentlemen, and we surround him so he can't run.
He's going to take open-eyed, staring at you. He's just cowering at this point.
Why'd you come back?
Food.
Needed
That
to
is the-
shoot us for food.
We've got to eat. It's the Underhive.
You weren't
He's-
planning to eat us, were you?
He looks at you bewildered. He's just a sort of a shaking, quivering mess right now.
Swear to God, if I have to smell your excrement.
You might do.
What if we gift him to the Shagman as a new addition to his shagging?
Shagman looks like Shagman might be a bit shaggy, but even he wouldn't work with such a liar and a lowlife.
Work? Pretty much slavery, but okay.
Anything that's got a hole will be a good slave to the Shagman.
Pretty much. Place is disgusting. Alright, well, do we just execute him then?
Jesus Christ. No, I want to know. Came back. They very obviously were not just here for food.
The cabinets were fully stocked. There were only 4 of them. There's no way it was completely empty.
He amongst the quivering, he explains that they merely wanted to loot and salvage everything they could from the place, and make sure that there was everything that could be taken.
No longer a place for looting.
He nods while quivering.
Why are we even talking to him? You're clearly just
I'm
going
not
to
even
execute him
talking.
anyways.
I shake my head in disgust and say, just give him to the Shagman.
Oh, that's worse than death.
It is.
Not bad.
Wonderful.
Well then, let's go tell the Shagman that his new residence is free and he has a new employee.
Wonderful. So, as you enter the Shag Shack, the gentleman, still topless, is standing there with let's say a baseball bat made of metal, probably just a bar with a handle strapped onto the end of it, slowly tapping his hand. Well, appears I may have a new friend. And he starts jiggling about with a little bit of excitement.
Yes. He has no friends now, so he could use a new one. Would you care to take him in?
At this point, he slowly walks towards you. Who's currently holding the gentleman?
The
As
only
he's
one that can hold him.
as he's being grappled and held in place by Solenda, he circles a couple of times and then squares up to him at the front and places his hand under his chin. And he whispers, but not so subtly, "Tell me, my friend, do you like the shag?" And with that, the man just bursts out into a whimpering cry of a man that's just lost all hope. And he grabs him by the hair and drags him into one of the back rooms. As he's walking back, "I will do this for you. I will do these things. I will be back in a few days. In the meantime, take care of this shag shack. Before I go, one last shag."
Dickie kind of like nods and backs away. Enjoy your new employee.
With that, he disappears into a cubicle, and you can hear the clanging of a few chains. And with
What
that,
about me?
You get to run this place, Tom.
he peeps his head
Yeah!
around the corner. "Would you like to join in with the shag?"
Oh, that. No, thank you.
I'll be back.
No, I'd rather not dirty my hands any further.
No? Okay. I thought someone said both about me. Never mind. False alarm.
So, just check, man. Before we part, we need
Yes.
to go speak with Frankie, and then we'll return to help watch your place and your new place.
Okay.
Or we will have Frankie send somebody to watch your new place for you.
Sounds good to me. I will be busy, how you say, shagging. And with that, the door shuts and he disappears.
God damn it.
It's exactly how